Okay. So like Jennifer, you gave me a severity 4 on a 0 to 5 scale, where 5 is extreme brain fog. Does that match kind of your daily experience?
Some days are more like 6, but overall it's 4.
Okay, good. So some days are not good, but thank you for clarifying. Okay, some days are like beyond extreme, but 4 on average. And you said that with the brain fog bouts, you get severe OCD. And the combination of the two is a hard one, which I can very well imagine. How does your OCD manifest? What are the symptoms that you're experiencing there?
This is a long story. I have it all my life in different directions, but the last 3 years it is extreme one with at least 4 or 5 directions. The worst is, of course, the germs part and the daily life. That is terrible. And with the brain fog, it's very hard to take any control. You know, when you have more energy and more clear mind, it's much easier to take control somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I have issues since a child, and the last 30 years with depression, panic attacks, not able to go out, not able to a lot of things. But
Okay.
the OCD and brain fog the last 3 years, this is too much.
Yeah.
I was used to the other things, but this was too much.
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
So
it's
let's go on. You said that you had challenges in both focus, well, the set of things, focus, concentration, memory, language, and word recall, both in your native language and in English, emotional regulation, and slow thinking, and that things get worse when you're on your cycle. So you've got
yeah,
a time of the month that is worse. Yeah.
much worse.
Okay. And do you have any idea why things have been very noticeably worse in the last 3 years? I think you said that you didn't notice that you had COVID, but 40% of all COVID cases are asymptomatic. My guess is that there was some mild COVID somewhere in there. Uh,
No, not a single symptom, and I have made a lot of tests, but I have four COVID vaccines before
or
the
COVID
severe
vaccines.
before
Okay.
the severe OCD and before the brain fog. I have 4 vaccines.
Okay, and what type of vaccine, like what was the brand? Different brands
Um,
have different levels of inflammation
Pfizer,
impact.
Pfizer,
Pfizer.
BioNTech.
Okay, okay. There can be vaccine of impacts on inflammation and brain inflammation, especially in a background with that. Um, and okay. And
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
I love to ask questions. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Well, that points one question here about the vaccines and the COVID, because in my country now is beginning a big wave of COVID, not very nice variant with a lot of severe ill people. So now my choice is between stay unprotected and put the next vaccine. But if the vaccines affect me also, uh,
Right.
it's But
Yes,
if they
there are
affect
no
me,
good choices. It's like
if
which
they,
least bad.
yes, if
So
they affect me, the real COVID can be much worse than.
yes, I'll tune into that when I do your session. So I can give you not just a generic answer, but a intuitively customized answer for you.
Okay.
Okay, where do you live? Where are you from?
Eastern Europe.
Okay. Yeah, there's a very big COVID wave almost everywhere, so and then you said that your energy levels were very, very low. You've recently gotten in a test identified as having low vitamin D, osteoporosis, bone loss, and loss of teeth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the hallmarks here really tell us from an Eastern or a Chinese medicine perspective which type of qi is weak for you. And so I'm going to be able to give you a customized practice, just like I gave Jennifer I gave her one to build back her digestive energy and to do the healing work of her session. I'm going to give you a different customized reset that I've already determined to support you with all these things and the brain and the brain fog. Okay. Anything else you want to share with me about your health before we dive in?
No, this is the main things.
Okay.
This is the main things.
Okay. So the bandwidth assessment that I do, and again, I just muscle test 1, 2, 3. I get a yes to 3, so I know your bandwidth is 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. That's because you've got the extreme fatigue, okay? And the bone and the teeth symptoms, let me know that as well. With this amount of healing energy, our focus is going to be to support your kidneys, your kidney meridian, your kidney energy. And we have a lot of toxicity in your brain. So if we detox this and basically repair the integrity impact in the blood-brain barrier, then the toxins don't get back in, and then the brain works better just from that. Okay, your flame level is very high. Okay, 7 is very high. Most of it is in the microglia, but all the macrophage that surround all the blood vessels that go into the brain that basically line the whole blood-brain barrier, also fiery. Okay, I will say from scanning dozens and dozens and dozens of people that when the head macrophage are flamy with the microglia, that is a COVID pattern. I haven't seen that with people with traumatic brain injury. I haven't seen it with concussion. I haven't looked at too many people. I've looked at a few that have had chemo and, heavy duty toxic medications, but so there could be other reasons. It could be all due to the toxicity. Okay. But we'll dive in and look at that. And 6 marked genes behind your brain fog, which includes the OCD and panic attacks, depression, in any of that, it can all be under one kind of umbrella. 6 marked genes is not a lot. To have a couple of sessions and bring your healing energy up, then this is not a big problem. I've worked with people where this number is, twice this. Okay, this is not a big number. 3 of them are from COVID or COVID vaccine. Okay, could be vaccine. 1 of them is inherited. Maybe that's why you've had some OCD your whole life. 2 of the layers here are from toxicity. So you can see a totally different story than we just saw with the last client. And because the flames are higher and in two different cell types, there are more networks impacted. The central executive controls everything in the brain, so there can be all kinds of things. OCD, it is in brain network science an imbalance in the central executive network. Okay. And then the attention network, one of the main attention networks, and the language network, as well as the two little asterisks here means the central executive has a partner network, and that network is also impacted. So because there's a network that's kind of like the cheerleader to the central executive, and it says, let's do this. If the cheerleader and the central executive are both toast, then nothing central executive happens as well as it could. Okay? Are we ready to dive in and start solving things?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All righty. So let's see what we're going to do here. Let me just. Okay, again, I'm going to get quiet. Did you have any symptoms after the COVID vaccine?
No.
No?
The only thing was that my heart rate, my pulse has lowered. I have issues with that again from 30 years. But after the vaccines, from 100, it became 80. That I wasn't able to make it even with medicine, even with pills. So this is the only thing I have noticed after the vaccines.
Okay.
No, not a single symptom, nothing else.
If you didn't have any symptoms post-vaccine, it's unlikely that the vaccine could be the reason why your brain inflammation is up. It's more likely to have been a completely asymptomatic COVID. If, like many of us, you spent 2 days writhing around in excruciating pain with headache and body aches, that means that you felt the inflammation come up. So now all your inflammation might be up here in your brain and not in your body. So there are 4 reasons why your kidney energy, which is your life force energy, is depleted. And so we are going to dive in and listen to these. The first is an emotional story from the first 2 years of life. Okay, so anything that you know that might have been, not that you have conscious memories from that time, but that might have been hard at that time for you.
My birth.
Okay.
My birth itself was extremely hard, and I was born without breathing and in very bad condition. I know that I was almost 2 months in the hospital before they release me and say that I will survive and can go home. So that's what I know from my parents.
Okay. Yeah, and I was gonna say birth, but I got that it was longer than birth. It really was the first 2 years of life. So it's the impact of, the extremely hard birth and like not sure, obviously, if they released you saying that you're finally going to survive after 2 months, they didn't know if you were going to survive. Okay, so we need to do that emotional resolution to clear this story. And the emotions are fear and terror. And obviously you don't consciously remember them. If you want to give me a number from 1 to 10 in terms of the intensity, just what you intuitively feel, we can go with that.
Fear and terror are part of my life, the whole life. So the intensity is always above 7, up to 10, all
Okay.
my life. So
Okay. All right. So this is number 1. All right. Number 2 and number 3 are 2 different toxins that are high in your brain. Okay. One is the heavy metal of mercury. And the other is an endocrine disruptor chemical that is used in plastics manufacturing, which almost everyone has in their body, has these in their body. Okay, so we have 2 different toxins in the brain that are at high levels. I saw that in the scan, so that is also depleting here. And then reason number 4 is I'm going to say it's not the vaccine, it's asymptomatic COVID about 3 years ago. Okay. And yeah, 40% of all COVID is asymptomatic. So it's very common that people have had it and they don't know. Okay. So those are, we're just first unpacking why your kidney energy, which is the yuan qi in Chinese medicine, is depleted. Because this is the reason for the bones and the teeth and the brain and the OCD and the fear your whole life. Okay. So all of these layers. And so the healing strategy for this is going to be the water element reset. Okay, and the water element reset supports the water element ruled areas of the body, which are the kidneys and the bladder and the brain, and so they will support kind of as well as emotions like this. These are kidney and water element emotions. So I will send you that. Again, that's like a 5-minute practice. So there'll be a little video with me and you'll click the button and you'll just do the reset with me. So because your healing energy is lower, the strategy that I used with Jennifer, where I went into those genes that were in lockdown, causing the inflammation, there isn't quite enough healing energy or healing muscle to do that. But when we work with the brain networks, sometimes the brain networks have like miracles that they can pull out of nowhere. So with a brain network strategy, it can be just like, let's just fix all the inflammation like that, instead of like getting the bulldozers out and moving the big rocks. So it's like a way to do healing miracles without taking much energy. Don't ask me how it happens. It's like working at some super high frequency level in the whole mind, body, spirit energy. And so more is possible. Okay, so we're going to go into one of your impacted brain networks by the brain inflammation. And we're going to work in the central executive again. Okay. And we're going to work with one of the functions of the central executive. So I'm going to consult my chart here that has a list of all of those because I don't remember them all. Okay, and we're going to work with the global decision making, the global decision maker that considers lots of different bits of information and decides what to do. Okay, it's what to do in terms of our behaviors, but it's also what other brain networks need to help with, you know, a cognitive function, a memory, a task. Okay, so it's kind of like the executive control of the whole brain. So it's not like, should I have chocolate or strawberry ice cream for dessert? It's decision making at a whole different level. Okay. So we're going to go into the central executive network and think of this network as a frequency. So almost like a song with many different dimensions and many different musicians playing. And we need to find a time when the song got corrupted. So we have to clear a past influence, and it is going to be the first 20 minutes of your life. Okay. So it's not the first 2 years, it's the same as this, except it's the first 20 minutes. Okay. So, okay. And it is the not breathing. It was kind of like all the medical personnel. I can never do a session and type at the same time. It's everyone being on high alert, like we have to save this life, like arriving in a crisis state. The central executive, it's whatever song it's supposed to sing to the whole brain to control everything, got a frequency in that time period of like, I could die any second. Okay. So we have to take out, like, even if it's singing a happy song, there's an undercurrent of I could die any second.
All the time. All the time. And I always wondered why.
Okay, it plays 24/7. And I mean, if you could die any second, like the sympathetic, the fight or flight response, it can never stand down. It's always kind of, even if it's not on high alert, it's ready to jump in and be on high alert, you know, at a moment's notice. Okay.
It is almost always on high alert.
Yeah. So we really need to clear the impact of the first 20 minutes, and then we'll do the first 2 years. Okay, then we'll do 21 minutes up to 2 years. Okay, because there's a very strong frequency in this network, it's hard for your brain to basically look at a lot of information and make the right decisions. It's always a little that this is quite a strong mindset that is constantly playing. Okay. So now we need a repatterning frequency. Okay, we need a time when you knew you were safe. Okay, weren't gonna die. In the next minute. Okay. So it can be at any time. It can be when you were a kid, it can be yesterday. So it can be a whole month. It can be a half an hour. It's a time when there was a tiny break in time where this did not play. So what
I remember one
you
time.
remember a time?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is what you're going to think of when we get there. First, we need to clear the past influence, and then we will go there. Okay. So this whole balance here for the central executive is working with the brain fog, but in a different way. Okay. It's like adjusting the brain at a very high level. Okay. Okay, so there's not any more that I'm seeing here that we're going to bring in today. So I'm going to have you do the sweeping breath. Do you want me to guide you to do that, or do you know how to do that?
I think I know how.
Okay, yeah, you start with your head over to the right. You inhale as you sweep left. You exhale as you bring your head back right. And I want you to, no one remembers the first 20 minutes of their life. So you could go to any period in time where this terror, this fear that I could die any second was really loud for you. Okay. You can go to any time. You can think of a time, you can focus on pictures of yourself when you're a little tiny baby. And I am doing the water element reset as I focus in on your kidney chi, your life force energy, this big picture update of the central executive network. I'm tapping on different acupoints. I'm tapping on me, but I'm focusing on you here. And I want you just to keep exhaling out the fear, the terror, the I'm going to die any second from the first 20 minutes of your life, what it must have been like to not be able to breathe, the panic of that. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to take a break from sweeping. Just pause. Keep your eyes shut. And I want you to tune into this time that you remember when you knew you were safe and you weren't going to die. You were happy, you were calm, you were safe. And now you're going to focus on the inhale. I want you to breathe back in the energy of that time. So you're going to go, you're going to reclaim it, and you're going to clear a little more fear. You're going to reclaim that sense of safety and calm, not going to die. Reclaim it with the inhale and then exhale. And do a few deep breaths, really breathing back in that energy. Okay. And how are you doing, Baya?
Emotional.
Yeah.
I'm usually not emotional and very rarely crying, but this bring back memories with my parents, and I have lost them years ago. And sorry.
It's okay.
Well, emotional is good. I cry
Emotional is
so.
good if the emotions were stuck in there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. So
Okay. And were you able to find this fear, this terror, this, I don't think I'm gonna,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. And what does the intensity of that feel like it is now?
5.
Okay. Yep. That seems about right. There's a lot to unpack there. I might even look at a picture of you as a baby to get back to this first 20 minutes. Were you able to really tune into this time where you were safe and calm and happy?
70% of the time, yes.
Okay, good. Okay. And so when you do the water element reset, there is a sweeping breath that is part of it. You're going to first take some time to release the fear and the terror from the first couple years of life. And then you are going to definitely, this is like the icing on the cake. Remember the time when you were safe, you were calm, you were happy, and breathe that back in. And do that with the sweep. So
Okay.
breathe it back in. It's like you're reclaiming your energy and your power and your life force. Okay. And I will send you more instructions, but I want to thank you for being the demo.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
really, for the session.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, no, it was very interesting and useful for me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being here, and I will follow up with you by email.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everyone. I have done something very unusual for me, which is gone way over time. I'm usually really good. So I want to thank you, the 63 of you that made it till the end, and the sessions were very different. So it was interesting for me to see kind of the two different approaches to brain fog here, really different strategies, different stories behind that brain fog. And I'm happy to support any of you with whatever you want to do next. And did I do anything to clear the toxins. I asked about that a few times and I got that the water element reset and the network work was going to was going to start that process. So if we check back in a couple weeks, her toxin burden is not going to be 9. And what I intend to do when we come back in a month is you'll get a little update from the demo session so we can check back in and see how they're doing. All right. And in what course do you zoom into the central executive? So I have 2 new courses. One is my Brain Networks mini course, where you meet the top 3 networks, one of which is the central executive. And the other is my Mind Body Networks, where you're going to get 15 brain networks and brain body networks. And it's going to be really fun. And that starts next month. So you'll all get an email after this, and I will let you know where to get more information on whatever is next in your journey. All right. All right, and we have one more question. I have brain fog worse when I wake up in the mornings. In a sleep study, they recommended a CPAP. It's extremely uncomfortable. CPAPs are very loud and crazy. I have worked with people to deal with sleep apnea without CPAP machines involved, and but it is very important to breathe while you sleep. So I would research other options. I'm happy to connect you with a practitioner if you want to email me.